All right, let's just jump right in. We are going to talk about procrastination, but not with your typical productivity hacks. No. We're going to use a pretty powerful mental tool, one that's designed to kind of debug your brain's fear response.
So I want to start with a really direct question for you. Think about it. If you started that venture, if you made that sales call, if you took that big risk, and it just completely failed, would you actually die? And I don't mean die of embarrassment. I mean, literally, would your heart stop beating?
The answer, of course, is no. It's a simple answer, right? But here's the crazy part. Your brain doesn't know that. Look, you're not procrastinating because you're lazy. Let's get that straight. You're procrastinating because a little piece of your brain is basically hallucinating. It's seeing a level of risk that just doesn't exist anymore. Not in our world.
Okay, so let's dig into why this happens, right? What's going on in our heads? It's really just a fundamental mismatch, a misunderstanding between our ancient biological hardware and the modern software of our lives. You can almost think of it like a survival glitch.
And this right here really breaks it down perfectly. Think about this for a second. Your brain, your body, reacts to a potentially awkward sales call with the exact same stress hormones it would pump out if a saber-toothed tiger jumped out at you. It's the same physical response. The crazy part is, one of those things is a mortal threat, and the other? It's just data. It's just information.
You know, to really get this, you have to understand where hardware comes from. You and I, we come from a long line of pessimists. Seriously. Picture this. Thousands of years ago, you've got two cavemen. The optimist caveman sees some weird-looking berries and thinks, hey, these look great. He eats them, and he dies. His genes, gone. But the pessimist caveman, he sees the same berries and thinks, whoa, no way, that could kill me. He runs away, and he survives. And guess what? You are related to the guy who ran away.
So here's the main takeaway, the crucial point. Your brain's code is just outdated. It's hardwired to overestimate the bad stuff and underestimate the good stuff. And for most of human history, that was a brilliant survival strategy. But our world has totally changed. Today, being wrong doesn't mean you're dead. It just means you got some data, some information you can use. So if you want to succeed, you actually have to learn how to manually override this glitch.
Okay, so how do we actually do that? How do we override the glitch? Well, the first step is we have to completely dismantle that vague, foggy fear of failure. We've got to define what the actual worst-case scenario even looks like. Because I can promise you, the floor is way higher than your brain is telling you it is.
And this slide just shows the huge disconnect, doesn't it? In our heads, our brain is cooking up these images of total ruin, starvation, living on the street. But let's just play the movie all the way to the end. Let's say you quit your job. You burn through all your savings. It all goes totally wrong. What actually happens next? You don't starve, you get a temp job, you crash on a friend's couch for a bit. Yeah, you're annoyed, you're inconvenienced, but you're not dead.
I mean, just let that sink in for a second. The moment you can truly, deeply accept that the absolute floor, the worst that can happen, is just being annoyed and sleeping on a sofa for a few months, you basically become invincible. The risk is capped. It has a limit. But the potential upside, that's still infinite.
All right, so we've defined the real downside. Now let's completely reframe how we even think about risk. We're going to stop thinking about it as this scary, unknown monster hiding in the closet and start thinking about it as, well, just a simple transaction.
Think about it like this. When you buy a pair of really expensive shoes, you don't have some big identity crisis over it, right? You just do a quick calculation in your head. Is the value of these shoes worth the pain of losing this much money? That's it. It's a trade. Well, business decisions, life decisions, they're exactly the same. You're just trading a certain amount of time, maybe some money, and a little bit of potential embarrassment for the life you actually want. It's just a trade.
And this right here is the whole game. You have to change your vocabulary. Stop calling it risk. Start calling it the price. That fear you're feeling, that's not some random danger. It's literally just the price tag for the thing you want. The problem is, most people just stare at the price tag all day and they completely forget to even look at what they're buying. Okay, so enough theory, let's get super practical. I'm going to give you a tool you can use right now. It's called the Nightmare Plotter. And it's a really simple exercise. You can do it on a piece of paper in like 5 minutes. And it will prove to you, logically, that your fear is pretty much a scam.
So this is what it looks like. Super simple, right? Just 3 columns. Column 1, the nightmare. This is where you get super specific about what you're afraid of. Column 2, the fix. This is where you figure out what you do about it. And column 3, This is the most important one, the cost of inaction. This is where you calculate the guaranteed pain of just doing nothing.
So here's how you use it. Step 1, you have to define the nightmare in painful detail. Don't just write, "I'll fail." That's too vague. Write something like, "I will lose $5,000 and my dad will give me that 'I told you so' look." See? Specific. Then step 2 is the fix. Okay, what would I do? Well, I guess I drive for Uber for a few months and make the money back. All of a sudden, that big scary monster starts to look like a kitten, right? And finally, step 3, the kicker. Calculate the cost of doing nothing. What is the guaranteed pain of staying right where you are for the next 5-10 years? That is the real risk.
Now, I know a huge part of this fear, for a lot of us, is what other people are going to think. But you just have to burn this rule into your brain. You will never, ever be legitimate to the ignorant.
I mean, this example just says it all. You've got Ray Dalio, he's a billionaire investor, and he goes online to give away free financial advice. And what happens? The comments are just filled with people who have like $30 to their name, calling him a scammer. It's insane. So my point is, if a guy worth billions can't avoid criticism from people on the sidelines, what makes you think you can? The only people who throw rocks are the ones who are not in the arena.
So let's recap. The downside is manageable. We've established that. And criticism from the cheap seats is basically inevitable. So what's left? Well, for this last part, we're going to completely flip the script. We're going to see how all this fear, all this uncertainty, is actually your single biggest competitive advantage.
Okay, here's the big secret. You ready? Almost everybody on the planet is waiting for a guarantee before they start anything. They need a sure thing before they'll take action. And because of this universal need for certainty, the vast majority of people are all crammed into this tiny little space, fighting each other for the leftover scraps.
So this is it, the whole point. All the life-changing rewards you want, the freedom, the wealth, the impact, it's all there, waiting for you, but it's hidden behind a door. And on that door, there's a sign, and that sign says, "I don't know if this will work." The ability to turn that handle and walk through that door anyway, that is probably the rarest and most valuable skill in the entire world.
Remember, your fear is just an old biological signal. That's all it is. It is not a stop sign. And if you can learn to function, to execute, to do the work while you're scared, while everybody else is paralyzed, waiting for that guarantee that's never going to come, you literally have the entire playing field all to yourself. That's it. That's where the real opportunity is hiding.
So go make the call, post the video, spend the money, whatever it is. And then, when it's done, just ask yourself one simple question. Did I die? And if the answer is no, then get up and do it again.